can't believe someone left me. And so now I'm like, that's how everyone feels when I leave all the time. Okay, so when it comes to business, I guess the number one tip I'd give you is don't feel like you have to create this empire in a day, in the sense of like having everything in a program or everything automated or whatever. Like, it's really okay to take your time. I think it's okay to like be a DIY person, do-it-yourself person until you can't anymore, you know? So yeah, that comes down to like billing, making your own invoices, and doing your own sales. You know, it really, for me, what I've learned is, yeah, we can market it and do all these amazing things, and it can look really great in terms of structure and how we market ourselves. But the reality is, are we making our goals happen? And one goal for most businesses is making money, right? So like, are we making money? And if we're not doing that, then who cares about the structure? Like, the structure's not working, you know? So just to encourage you with that, like, just go after the business, and all like the beautiful stuff will follow later. For me, what helps to really became mine as a business owner, some things that I had in place was I don't do my own books. So even though it all comes out of my bank account, I don't keep records of it. I have someone else do it because I just don't like doing that, and it's just a lot of time. So I literally pay $25 every 2 weeks to have someone else do it, and it's not a lot of money for that kind of save on time. To me, that's like my trade-off. I'm like, I'd rather give you $25 than do this. That was like one of my main objectives when I started owning Helps To. I was like, I do not want to mingle Gabby's money with the Helps To money. I want that separate. And I did the same thing with Marte Music too, because Marte Music was actually stealing, I don't want to say stealing, because it's all really ran by me. So, but Marte Music was taking a lot of my personal money. And I was like, oh gosh, like I have to like have separate accounts to know, well, you know, when Helps To gets paid, it comes into the Helps To account, not my personal one. It's just so much clearer in my mind. How do you feel about all that?
I think that's really good.
Okay. One thing that's really helped me a lot has been somebody approaches us with a project. For a long time, I was kind of like confused, and I'd always ask my partner, well, what do I charge them? What do I charge them? My best advice is to make an hourly rate for yourself, for clients and for non-clients, and then look at a project and say, this is how many hours it's going to take me in my mind to do it. Add 5 to 10 hours to it, and then give them a quote. So for example, like if somebody just approached us here at Helps To and asked if we could build a website. So in my mind, you know, me building a website, and this one seems a little more intensive, probably about 15 hours. But the reality is it's always like 5 or 10 more hours than you expected. But if it isn't, I mean, it doesn't matter because it's a project rate. So it doesn't matter. But like you have in your head this system worked out. And then as you get better, and you get more clients, like add to that rate that you have in your mind. You know what I mean? So if you started at 75 or whatever, or 40 or whatever, everyone has their own rate that they feel, you know, that they're worth. And I challenge you, if you have a rate that you feel like you're worth, add $5 to it, you know? Because a lot of us, we downgrade ourselves, or we're scared. We're like, we want to make this deal. But my best advice to anybody is like, don't sell yourself short because you're doing work. And then it in your heart while you're doing it, if you're selling yourself for like not enough, you'll know it too, because you'll look at the project and you'll be like, oh, I'm excited to do it, or I'm not excited to do it. Like, you might love the work, but at the end of the day, like, it's still work. You know what I mean? And so if you feel like you're being cheated, you can tell you didn't charge enough by your excitement that's there or not there. That's my best advice, because I'll look at a project and I'll be like, oh, I was going to do the website for this amount of dollars, and I'm like, but I'm just not excited to do it for that amount. So I'll like get it to a point to where I'm like, I'm excited to do it for that amount. That's a cool amount.
Cool.
Yeah. I always use contracts. Always use contracts. It doesn't have to be like super articulate. Like some people think contract, they think like lawyer jargon. No, I have a web design contract. Did I ever send that to you? I feel like I told you I'd send that to you.
Yeah, I think so. I think you sent me like a template contract type thing.
Okay, well, use it, and then feel free to add to it. Like, you can put your social media, like what you are going to deliver, and I mean, and hold to it, And I honestly, Hunter, I know you're a believer, so I'm going to share this with you. I pray before, like, while I'm doing things like this, because contracts are like almost like marriage in a sense to me. It's like long term, we just spell it out, really, to be honest with you. And it's been wonderful because we've gotten in some tizzies with people, as we've told you before, and even more so, even with some of our clients that we still have. You know, somebody might think in their mind, like, this is how I've always done business, but the contract is like, oh no. Like, I remember sometime, maybe last year, somebody took a vacation for a month, one of our clients, and they thought because they took a vacation and they stopped probably earning money, I don't know their situation, but I assume that that was probably the case because they emailed me and they said, could you, because we had already kept working that month, so they left, but we kept working because that's what we thought we were to do, despite them not being in communication with us. And so we kept doing our thing, and they were like, could you basically like not like deduct that month off of next month's kind of like payment? And I was like, no. Sorry, like, as much as we like you and we've been cool with each other, that's just not right. Like, the contract says this, and I was bold enough, with the help from my partner George at the time, to just say, hey, we're going to stop our work until you actually pay us for next month. And so, you know, yeah, those moments do come every now and then, and they make you strong, but it's hard to be strong when there's no contract or agreement. I call them agreements because contract sounds so deep, but an agreement. So that's important, and make them sign it and send them a copy. So everyone, I'm just like all about communication. If there's one thing I feel like I could always give someone who's going to be a leader or own a business, you got to over communicate to people, because sometimes you're just from different backgrounds, different cultures, different states, whatever it is. But you might say something and the person has a different context. So I always, if we're in deep situations and we're making up agreements and stuff, I ask questions to see if they get it. And if they don't get it, I say, well, this is a different way I'm going to say the same thing, you know? And so I know it sounds really like ABC, but those are the things that really make you successful. Yeah.
What are book recommendations? Like top 3, 5 books, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe just one.
You know that one book I always show you. Let me just get it.
Guerrilla Marketing?
Yes. It's amazing. And I feel like if there's any book I'd recommend, it'd be this one. That's where that letter that I tell you is working came from. It also talks about just really great marketing techniques that are actually, people would say that they're going on a date, but I would argue that they're actually just not being used anymore, and which is a great opportunity because, you know, everyone's on social media, everyone is doing podcasts, you know what I mean? Like, that's the new wave, and so there's a lot of competition there. But like I said earlier, sending a letter to somebody and like having it personalized, and there's a letter in here, and I'll send that to you. It's just so cool. So, and it works. I really have learned to not take on clients, speaking of the whole faking the funk, that I really don't enjoy. We've also had just people like come and just not be the right people. Like, their cause was awesome, but their attitudes were not. And I'm like, I cannot stand you. I don't think it's going to work out. And just having that gut instinct and listening to the Lord in that sense. I mean, he is the best businessman in the whole wide world. And yeah, I think not a lot of people use him in business. And I'll tell you one thing, I feel like I haven't even built Helps To. Like, to have an intern like yourself, I feel so honored, because I'm just like, God, every step, I feel like I didn't do anything, you know, like every like really monumental step. Like, I've been faithful in the little things, like keeping things organized and paying people, you know, doing my part. But I feel like God is really leading, and I've asked him to. And some people don't. And I mean, that doesn't mean that someone can't run a good business without God. I don't think that's true, but I mean, he's all knowing. So I mean, and I'm not, and I'm just really willing to admit that and say, okay, well, I'm gonna humble myself right now. God, I really need your help. You know, and so get this thing off the ground.
I took your example on that a little bit. Like, I had never really prayed about business much, like just life in general, like, hey, God, guide me. Mm-hmm. But like, I never actually like specifically prayed over like a business venture of mine type thing. But I saw, like, in Asana, you had pray for Helps To. And I was like, you know, maybe I should start praying for that and, like, invite God into that more. And it was a game changer. I ended up getting some cool connections and getting access to this really sweet course that had some really cool documents and stuff for me. So it was awesome. It's really good.
That's awesome. My heart is really to like have others with me, you know? And so the temptation will come to like be selfish some days, I'll be honest, and like hoard what God is giving you. Like even helps too,
Right.
like have these moments of like, should I hire someone or just do it all? And God's like, you know the answer to that. Like you can't do it all, you know? And
Right.
so just like being willing to share, to uplift, to raise other people up, because you're not going to live forever. And to share those tips, like, hey, I prayed over this, and to share, like, well, this is like the literal way it's done, like how you actually do it, you know? Sharing all of your knowledge and leaving a legacy, you know? Yeah, so speaking of that, there's a great resource you should check out. They're called Gospel Patrons, and they're basically an organization that just shot up. They're out here in California. I'm so sad I missed their first event. I just couldn't do it. I had like a music thing going on. But they are godly people, and I think it started with just like a couple godly men, but in business. And they really believe like their businesses are centered and their hearts are centered around like the kingdom of God. And they've been on Wall Street. They've done some amazing things. And so they put out like, I think it's monthly videos. I could be wrong on their frequency, but just videos all the time, blogs all the time about how to be godly in business, how to let God bless your business, how to be an influencer in the world. Like, yeah, sure, you could be super spiritual, but like, are you like really benefiting the world around you? Like, you know, you want to be an influencer and shine your light. So that's cool. Another one is Neil Patel, like in terms of actually doing marketing. That man is a genius.
I know him.
Okay.
Yep.
Him and I just love Pat Flynn. Have you heard of Pat Flynn too?
Yep.
Yeah,
He's big into like a lot of different passive income stuff, right?
Yeah. You only have 24 hours in a day. You need to go after and be certain about what you're going after. So probably only a couple things you need to go after. But we'd always talk about how we needed something scalable in our business to like not work ourselves to death. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's one thing I would give you in terms of like a tip. Like, is there something scalable? And I don't think it should be necessarily something that you are just doing to have a scalable item. And by scalable, I mean, can someone buy like an inexhaustible amount of something? That's not the definition of scalable, but that's what I think for myself when I think scalable. So especially being in a digital industry with marketing. So I think to myself, is there something I can create once and have people buy it for the rest of my life? And so that whole passive income thing is huge to me. And it's huge to my legacy, not just to make passive income, but to, you know, leave something behind and have the ability when I'm 55 to not be working any hours and to like totally be serving. You know what I mean? And so that's where, you know, we started dreaming up products like an ebook at Helps Too, and then the Undercover Musician, which is like a musician's product that shows them how to market, and then the Undercover Writer, and then all of these products started coming up, and we were never a product-based company. Merging your passions with your business, you know, like I love music, I love being creative, and I see musicians and creatives struggling to really reach people with what they do. Like nobody ever hears their one song they record because they don't know how to do marketing. And so I'm like, what if I could? I didn't wake up, you know, when I was 12 knowing this. It took me many years to figure out how to bridge my love for marketing and music. And I was like, what if I could show them what I know? Because people always think I have a team as a musician. Like I had this guy in San Francisco, he asked me, he's a radio host, he said, how many people are on your team, Marte? And I was like, no, but like, it's just me. Like I do it all. He's like, no way. Like I can't believe it. And it's not glory to me, like glory to God and the resources I've been able to learn from, but I feel like other people need that, you know? So encourage you to think beyond just, you know, get your few clients, start making money, but then start thinking, okay, I can only service so many clients. Like, what's next? Yeah. How can I grow even more, you know? Yeah.
Sweet.
One thing I would suggest is networking. I used to tell my students at the college is that if you network, you'll get way further ahead than someone who doesn't. And the best way to do that is I would, for you, even if you're in college, it doesn't matter. And I have numerous examples of this working for me and my friends, especially in college, which was funny. We would pick a conference, especially if, you know, you're going to college, so they're going to have a lot of things coming to you, actually, like a lot of like sessions and conferences and little seminars and stuff. Pick the ones that are relevant to your industry or your growth in some sense and go and meet everyone that you can and connect with them. Ask them. Don't worry so much about giving them your email or your card, but get theirs so that you can hit them up and you have the connection. It's in your hands because otherwise you got to wait for them. You know what I mean? And so that's great, waiting for someone, and they might hit you up. I mean, it's not that they won't. They might not. They might be too busy and forget, like me nowadays. I'm trying to get out of that, but it's just a reality, you know? If someone is not important, like you have 10 other things to do in priority before that, it might not ever get done. It's great to learn in college, and I think that's wonderful, but connecting is way more powerful than being skilled.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's huge. It's so huge. It's huge for my music and huge for helps too. That's how we've got a lot of our clients. It wasn't like they sought us out or saw an advertisement. We met them. And they're like, what do you do? I'm like, well, this is what I do. And what do you do? Oh.
Yeah, how do you explain what you do? Like, what is your, I guess, elevator pitch?
Elevator pitch? Well, I usually say I'm in digital marketing and I love helping people reach people. And so... yeah, and if they say, well, what does that mean? And usually most people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Digital marketing, I have no clue what that means. I say, you know, I build websites, I do graphic design, I do social media marketing. I really just stand in the gap for people who have no clue what to do online. So that's my elevator pitch. And I'm like, what are your needs? I always flip it real quick. Like, what are your needs if you have any at your company? What are you struggling with, you know? My motivation is like rest, believe that it'll all get done. Because it will. And things that are stupid will fall to pieces. Like, I've had some dumb ideas, and they just fall apart and never happen. And it's wonderful. It's great. I'm like, thank you. Just fell apart. Thank you, God. It just fell apart and doesn't work. And